Michelle, and we're back with a new episode of Casita del Sol. And we are maturing, y'all. We have segments. And our first segment is Dicen que.
Uy, ¿qué dicen? ¿Qué dicen?
People
They
are
said.
saying.
People are saying.
So we wanted to introduce this segment so we have a chance to talk about, pop culture, Latino culture, anything culture related, through our own lens, right? So dicen que Bad Bunny performs on SNL on Sábado Gigante.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did, girl.
Yeah. People are buzzing. People are buzzing with opinions. I know I did see some and others, and yeah, there are many thoughts. What do you think? How's it hitting you?
I've laughed so far pretty much most of the skits that I've seen because they're relatable, they're funny, they're humorous. It's in good form, and I mean, regardless if y'all mad still at our boy, I still love him. So, because you know some people still mad at our boy.
Yeah. I know. I know that. I've been knowing that. But I mean, I do understand why, like.
Oh, I'm mad, but I still love him.
Yes.
Clarify.
I saw someone tear into him. They're like, Bad Bunny, as a representative of Latino culture, it was your responsibility to correct them on their wrong history because Christopher Columbus did not discover America. He discovered the island over, and I'm like,
we can't put all that on one man. We can't put that on.
It's a lot. And like, not that we're like Bad Bunny, but I know like we can feel the pressure of like having to say this and having to say that. And all while we're a small business, And I've had friends who have been really public. Last year during I think it was Black Lives Matter, and she got doxxed. She's like, girl, I got doxxed. That's like when they post your address. She got hate mail. She got death threats. She's a single mom living with her daughter. She was just like, she wanted to stand so firmly in her beliefs, but became dangerous for her.
So where's the border, right? Like, where's the balance? Because you and I are both about standing firm with some of our beliefs, sharing, especially the current climate we're in right now. We've had these internal conversations. So there's definitely a balance between sharing chisme, sharing things that hit home, that we stand for, but where's the balance where we also have to protect our families, ourselves,
mental health.
So it's like, yes, we want to hold ourselves accountable for having a platform, but we cannot expect that one single person to put all that on Bad Bunny. I totally get where people are coming from. The whole even her tequila thing, appropriating all of that. Look, I'm the first to say love is love, regardless. It doesn't even bother me that he's with somebody without a race. I want to say that's my personal opinions. That's not what bothers me. That is not. I understand that because of what he has expressed in the past in his songs, like that Pagon and other songs, like.
But even still now, like even in this skit, like
even now. And so then where do people, I guess the lines are blurred because like he's dating somebody who is the complete opposite, obviously. That's how we feel, right? The complete opposite of like some of the things he stands for. And we don't know. Here's the thing. We don't know what discussions they have behind the scenes. We don't know what their relationship is like. We don't know if he uses his time to maybe try to educate her here and there. We don't know these things. We really don't. That's the thing. We could sit here all comfy. We don't.
I mean, they're young, famous people. Like, it's not that they're getting married. You know what I mean? Like,
he looks good. She looks good. Let them have their fun.
It's not a big deal.
A year from now, we're gonna be like, ¿La quien quien? Let's be real. Sorry.
Yeah. Like, no, but I still get a little like, when he's going off about certain things and like, can you speak like that with that much authority? And then I'm married to a white guy, my husband's Italian. So like maybe I'm projecting, I don't know.
It could be a little both.
Maybe.
Because we've been always, that's what one of the skits, that's why it felt so,
Yeah.
when you bring your
Yeah, but
non-Latin
my man's
partner,
not like that either, you know? Is that
not you, because you've been with Joey for so long, you
Yeah,
know? Like, there's so much beauty and love and acceptance in your relationship. But
right. But
imagine for some people, it is,
for
it,
them,
it
when they need it more.
is. I think that sometimes I even like, I have a son and I'm like, ooh, how would I feel if he brings, and then I'm like, girl, you need to stop because I just want my kid to be loved. Whoever loves him and respects him, I don't
Yeah.
care what you are, where you come from. I just want him to be loved and respected, by his
Yeah, and
partner.
you gotta believe that you raised him to know what it is that he wants or needs to feel loved and respected, right?
Yeah.
It might be different than what you think, you know?
Yeah.
I see that with my mother-in-law. She's very traditional, old school Italian, and I am not.
But that woman loves you. So,
Yeah, she's come to
boom.
understand like, okay, my son wants different he needs different things to make him happy, you know? It's not just that. But it's interesting to like navigate all of it, you know?
It's so funny how one pop culture icon could make us feel all these things. Like when you think about it, when you put that in perspective, like that this one man, again, I've never been one to hold people at such a high regard or idolize them because the reality is they are human just like us. They are
Yeah.
flawed individuals just like us.
And what if it's a strategic thing, you know? Like
Okay,
that's
so
the
I've
thing.
been that's my skit. That is, I know that
It
people
doesn't
got
count.
their theories. I know they do. But I'm just like, look, Mama K, that woman is, there's God and then there's Mama
Yeah,
K.
yeah.
like, like
Fair, fair.
that woman, if anybody can make a baller ass move strategically and be the mastermind of the whole thing, it would be her.
Yeah. Que se divierten, you know? Like, and that's the other thing with these, like, what is it called? I think it's parasocial relationships, where you feel like you're in a relationship with this person, but you're not in a relationship with this person. You know what I mean? And there's a
I'm
difference
not,
between,
huh?
like,
Like,
yeah, no, like the difference between desire and uh ownership. You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
I feel that.
Yeah, yeah. So dialing it back, like some of those skits were very I almost think he was also poking fun at himself. Like that was another intentional thing. I think he was purposely saying, "Mira mi cultura. I know how y'all be feeling about me right now." So, yes, there's writers, but I think
Mhm.
he also took it with stride and
Yeah.
made it what it was.
Honestly, just on that, like I want to hate it, but you gotta respect that man. You know, he's like, this is not your thing to
Yeah.
have an opinion about. That's a really expressing boundaries. But I think why this one is complicated is because it's not um his whole brand is authentic, you know? So like this action is not in alignment with the authentic part of his brand. And
Yeah.
so that's why the fans feel a certain way. But bueno, a saber, I don't know. But I laughed. I
I
laughed.
laughed.
I got to see Papi Pascal on there.
Daddy. That man.
Yeah. That's another one. He's really funny and open
So
to making fun of himself. I watched a video where someone's like he's reading comments, mean comments, and one of them is like he can't stop laughing as he's reading it. He's like, Pedro Pascal looks like Orlando Bloom got hit in the face with a shovel.
I think I've seen that. It's when Jimmy Fallon makes them read. Yeah. Comments online. Oh wow. That one is kind of like, now I'm like picturing it.
There's an art to the burn, you know? Would you ever do a roast? Would you ever how do you feel
I
about
think
that?
roast are hilarious. Like I
You do,
love
I know you
watching
do.
them. And I actually I mean, my family sometimes roasts me, and I'm just like, I used to take things a lot more personal. I did, okay? And then I would say a few years ago, because my brother is like, he's good at that. Like, and I
I
know
think,
it comes from a place of love.
yeah.
So I don't take it to heart anymore. Before I used to be like, I'm not 10 anymore. Why are you picking on me? Like,
Mhm.
it was
Yeah.
very much. And there's things that people say, and I'm like, well, they're not wrong. You know, like, that's me, you know? So I think that we just, with so much in the world, we need to laugh more.
Yes. Yes. I think that's honestly part of the culture is that, you know, I know for Salvi's like dark humor is standard, you know, very dark humor. And even like the roasting thing, that's all done in a way because they're trying to like desensitize you and in a way to make you like more tough in the world. That's the logic anyways. And yeah, I don't know that that's the way anymore. What do you think?
Being married to a Salvi, I feel like roasting is embedded in your culture. And
Yeah.
it's like, it's the, you know, that's a hard one because I think for some people it can be a little traumatic, some of the words and things that were said. But again, it goes back to watching that skit. It's like, oh, what's bothering you? Oh, you have mental health issues? Suck it up. You know,
You don't
like,
have mental. Who
and it
told
goes
you to
with the
have mental?
roasting, the humor.
Yeah. No, that's a thing for sure. And I think are like it's a question like are we gonna keep doing that? And I remember conversations with my dad, I think during the first big election here, um it was really tense and everybody wanted to come at me and talk about, you know, this and that and I'm like I'm here to get away from that, please for the love of God, no. And I got mad because they were like coming at me with this energy of like teasing me. And he's like, Carla, you can't get mad at words. They're just words, Carla. How can you let that upset you like that? He's your uncle. And then I'm like, yeah, you know what? Next time I see him, I'm gonna and I used a gay slur, maricon. And I was like, it's just a word.
Yeah.
Marica, maricon, hey tío, marica. And he was like, he was driving the car and his whole body went like, I'm like, it's just so
Funny how that turns, right?
yeah. And then he's like, I'm like, do you think I should say that? And he's like, he dropped it. He didn't want to argue with me anymore.
Because words, especially I think the way the energy is matched, can be hurtful. So there could be words that come off as funny, and then depending on the energy behind it, that's
Yeah.
the key. They could come off hurtful, condescending, aggressive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the other thing. Like, tone is everything, right?
everything.
But yeah, it's tricky because they're from a hard knock history, so it's like now I'm like, no, we're doing like this compassion thing, and it's so much for his generation to understand and process. And I have cousins that are like, I don't want to change that. I love that about our family. I'm like, oh, good for you.
I feel you see how these all you see how I love when we have these conversations because they all tie back to cultural nuances,
Mhm.
cultural trauma,
Yeah.
and it could be the simplest thing to something else, but yeah, I've become of the age of like you asked a little few minutes ago of like, are we gonna stop? Are we gonna change? I think that our generation, because we're older, right, is figuring the balance. Like we don't want to take all of that away, right? We don't want to take humor and sometimes even the fun, punny things that make us who we are, but we do want to be mindful and respectful of how it's coming across to people. Like
Right.
I know that those are the changes in the last 5 years I've tried to make of how my tone and how I'm coming across when I say things. Because I don't always mean it. I think us very early on in our relationship, like, I was like, Carla, this is me. This is who I am. And I know it's coming across this way, but this is not who I am. And it was like even figuring out like that what I say. And now I'm like preface it when I'm talking to people. I'm like, yes, this is like might sound like tough love. And I had somebody the other day tell me like the way you told me something, I needed to hear it that way. And I realized you were not saying it from a bad place. You were saying it with tough love, and nobody's ever done that. And I think I've realized that I don't like those type of relationships where people tippy toe around my feelings. But she says, but you're like even like tippy toeing around how you wanted to tell me this thing. I was more open to listening because you weren't mean and you checked in on me after and asked how I was doing. And so I'm even working on like my delivery when I want to tell somebody, hey, because I have close people around me that tell me things sometimes I don't want to hear, but I need to hear, you know?
Sure,
And
yeah.
so I've even had to tell my best friend, maybe we can change the tone of like, because I know you mean so well. like, and it's things
Yeah.
that we can work on still in our age. Everything is still negotiable, right? Everything can still, I'm learning like,
Mhm.
yes, I am for the most part 80% of who I am, but there's that 20% that I'm still working on that I can.
I felt that. I felt that. And when you said like this is who I am, accept me or don't, like what I heard was like this is, will you trust me? Will you trust me, or are these words gonna get in the way? Like, can you see me?
I think that was,
Can you see me without that? And I was
yeah,
like,
that,
yeah.
yeah, you nailed it. Like that. No, you nailed it.
Okay,
Like,
yeah.
because it's like all our lives, I can say all of ours, we've been told possibly we're a lot. And I'm realizing now it's okay to be a lot if the other person loves you, wants to be in your life. Like it takes really strong foundations and relationships to understand that people are a lot for a reason. I am a lot and I'm okay with that. And coming to terms, like I tell my husband, I'm a lot. Like, I don't know. But then I understand, like, okay, but I am still worthy of all these things, right?
Yes.
Like we are a lot, right? Everybody has some type of emotional baggage, right? Or baggage period. To say that even a 20-year-old doesn't have baggage, they probably do. We all do, right? And so we've been told to feel like who's going to be with you because you're a lot, right? Or you have all these things. And it's like, no, instead, it's being accepting that we don't all fit in a box and how we navigate those relationships, our tone, our delivery, being more mindful if somebody is a little bit more sensitive, or being more mindful if somebody might take our words, how we deliver those things. So I'm trying to consciously be better. Like I can't fully change my DNA, but I know that I can improve my delivery and my tone
I
on
push
certain things.
myself all the time. I was talking just yesterday morning, and Joey's like, can you communicate this in a way that is not so full of anger? I was
Oh,
like, blow out the flames. And then I rephrased it, and it made me change everything.
that's that's really beautiful in a relationship that he was able though to like take a step back versus being reactive and tell you, hey,
Yeah, no, he's like, we've been together 21 years, right? Like he's able to like he sees me, right? So he can see when it's not me. And he said once to me, this he said like, I used to be afraid because I can be big. We know what it means to have, that. And he's like, it's like if you see a bear like uncurl its spine and it gets really, really big and it's like raw. And what it took me time to figure out was that bear was more scared than I am. So like that's all he did, is like make me feel safe, and I'm still learning. I'm still learning because like that's my whole life's work, is to be a chill person.
Girl, and I'm learning from you.
We're all trying, man, but I get it wrong often. And until I'm like 100 years old, I'm gonna keep. That's the quote. Remember the quote I shared? We shared for iconic advice, the Walter Mercado.
Yes. Oh my God. And when you sent me that, what did I say? I was like, I am still constantly making mistakes.
Yeah,
Like, if I wasn't, there'd be a problem. Like, I feel like there would be a problem. Like if I wasn't constant, I'd have nothing to learn from, and then life would be boring, and then I
yeah.
wouldn't be working on myself. And I'm constantly a work in progress, and that's okay.
You know what? I think I was watching like a movie with like really rich people, and it's wild how much their control there is. When it's like that kind of hierarchy. Like, yes, there's like nepo babies, and they get all these advantages, but they're never really free. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, we're able to use our imagination and fuck up and go this way and that way because we don't have expectations.
Yeah,
Like, we don't have like we have hopes and dreams, but you know what I mean?
it's
It's
definitely
kind of
more. Yeah, it's definitely more structured, and money doesn't always solve all your problems.
no, but it
Like,
solves a lot of problems.
yeah, I mean, money's great. Don't get me wrong, but if it's tied to things, yeah, you're probably never going to be free from that.
Yeah,
There's always going to be an expectation. It's hard. It's hard.
I feel like a
Like
millionaire. I feel free. You know,
these
I
these
feel
these subjects sometimes be just like, because you be sitting there, right? I sit here sometimes when we talk in my thoughts of what that means.
yeah,
And being a creative is a beautiful thing because we are allowed to constantly go at our own pace. Um, Not many people can say that. They have to show up to jobs every day. And while you and I work very hard and it can be very stressful, I do find the beauty of being in control of my own creativity. Nobody's
yeah.
controlling it. I don't always get it right, and that's okay. And what I put out there isn't always well received, and that's okay. It's not always like gold in my head, I
It
think
might
it
not
is.
be appreciated at the time.
Yeah. Yeah. And
You know?
so, but what do? You learn from that, right? You drop something, you're like, oh, this is going to be gold. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Mhm.
Oh, nobody bought that. Okay, let's dial it back. Like let's dial it back. But I did it, right? And I'm not left with like the what ifs of I can't do
Right,
this or I can't do that or somebody told me that wasn't good. And then sometimes when it does hit, you're like, oh, that was all me. Like
right.
when
Yeah,
it does hit, you're like, yes, I thought of that.
yeah.
Like
It is beautiful.
it's beautiful.
I think it took me a long time to realize that I'm a creative because like growing up that was extremely like not okay.
Oh
Like
yeah, because you don't get paid. Remember all the things
right.
we've been told. If you're an artist or anything in the creative realm,
Yeah.
that's not a real job.
Well, you're a drug addict.
Not a real job. You want to be a tattoo artist? That's not a real job.
Yeah. And just recently my dad like apologized to me. He's like, I didn't understand at the time because I wanted to get into marketing. He's like, you're gonna sell tomatoes at the market. He was so mad. And I just didn't take him. I was like, okay, whatever, dude. He's like, I'm sorry, I wasn't supportive. I'm like, it's okay, Dad. I wasn't looking for you to guide me. I knew you. I never had that expectation of you. Being first gen, I'm like, but you know what, Dad? I'm really good at navigating new worlds now, emerging worlds. Like I have this skill because I learned it when I was young. So don't feel bad. It's okay that you
But we
couldn't.
do. I think a part of us does seek validation. At least I'm speaking for myself. I do feel like and I feel bad. I'm gonna say my older brother. I seek his validation, obviously, because I don't have my mom or dad anymore, right? And so I think that he's really realizing how much of a pedestal I put him on. Cause like I've told you about my brother. Like I admire and I love him
Mhm.
so much and I respect him and for the generational wealth that he's building and the hard worker that he is and he's blue collar. And I think like my sister-in-law, which is my sister-in-law, had to tell him like, she really looks up to you. Like, would it kill you to like something recently happened? He's like, would it kill you to just do this for her? Like, and I realized that I do seek his validation. Like, am I doing good? Are you proud of me? And I think my brother looks at me like, you don't need my validation. Like, because he knows I'm okay and doing okay. But I do, I
Right.
guess, because he's all in love with him. I'm like, be proud of me. And I feel bad that maybe I put that on him, but I know he is. Obviously, I know he
Yeah.
is. And men have a different way of showing that. And
Right.
so I almost put him in the place of my father, because I like he helped raise me, and so yeah, there is a level of validation that makes me, I don't know, feel like, yeah, I'm still doing what I'm doing regardless, right? But there's
Yeah.
that little bit of like validation sometimes that you want from
Yeah.
your
Definitely.
family to know that, like, yeah. Like, and I think I see a lot of our creators, like people in our community, doing these amazing things. And when they're showing videos of like their immigrant parents either following along on this journey, some of them are very heartfelt because it's new for that immigrant parent to see that their kid could do this, could be these things, could be the first of this and that, could have a collaboration with a major corporation, right? So I'm watching these videos to go to college, to go to an Ivy League, all these first, all these things that we've
Mhm.
been conditioned to feel, And so um it's you're maybe not always going to get the reaction that you want because they came from a different time and a different generation where nobody gave them an ounce of validation. Nobody ever patted them on the back for anything that they did. So we almost have to be a little bit compassionate that how can they give something that they don't know? How can they give something that wasn't given to them, And so it's hard. It's hard because you think, just as naturally me as a parent, like, but you're just supposed to. It's supposed to be maternal and all that. And no, I'm realizing it's not, that's not always the case.
Right. Yeah. I think about that. I forget sometimes. Like my dad was 6 when his dad died, and his mom went away. He was raised by a grandmother. There's like 6 of them, and like of course he doesn't know how to be compassionate. But I hope he gets a chance to learn it with me. Like that would mean a lot.
And with his grandchildren now, like,
I did say to him, I'm like, Dad, like I do care about your opinion, because you're my dad. And he's like, what?
they probably took him off guard because you're
He's like,
so confident and strong that he probably didn't think you needed that.
and he got mad at me. He's like, you don't need anyone's approval, okay? Not even mine. Why are you asking for
Oh
someone's
my,
approval?
this sounds like my brother, dude. This literally sounds like my brother.
I'm like, yeah, I know, but like, you're like my dad. He's like, oh, well, you shouldn't be thinking about that. Don't worry what other people think about you. I'm like, okay, Dad, never mind.
Literally my brother. Like, why do you need my approval? Why do you need this
What kind
approval?
of weak
Why?
shit is that?
You're fine.
Oh my god.
By the
Hopefully,
way, I just want to apologize if y'all hear noise. I tell my husband that I'm in the middle of a podcast, but he seems to just go about his business.
you
So
know, there was a
Carla
time.
has this beautiful sanctuary and quiet space, y'all, because she only got one person in there who,
Yeah,
me, I'm in a house full of men
sharing the space.
that
Yeah.
work from home.
Honestly, there was a time where like it was like bingo in my head. Whenever I was watching a Latina do a live on Instagram, it's like a part of the bingo card. Somebody's gonna walk in the background. You're gonna hear either a helicopter or an ambulance, a dog barking. Sorry, I'm so sorry. I'm like,
Full
it's part
disclosure,
of
y'all.
the business at this point. I would be disappointed if it didn't happen.
I'm gonna create a little box soon. Like
There
my
you
little
go.
my little enclosed space. But for now, if you guys notice, every time you guys see me, my background changes. It's wherever I can find a cute little cozy spot.
I love it. I love it.
It's funny. I know we started this, and it's so crazy how this one segment, right? And one person can influence so many conversations that we have within our community, within our culture. Um, yeah, I always find that wild how that's why these skits sometimes are very important. I'll be honest. That is like humorous representation. We always talk about representation, right? And so that is way to turn the light on things, right? Way to make it lighthearted of like, yeah, these things happen in our culture. Yeah.
You know what I really appreciated too during the Spain skit? That they put on like Spanish accents. That was they really exaggerated Spanish accents, but that
Oh
they
my
did it,
God.
you know, like I'm so used to seeing like the wrong accent in the wrong setting on, TV or whatever movies.
Castellano.
Yeah.
Cállate. I can say that because I feel like my father being Argentinian, right? Like obviously I do not speak that's not the Spanish that I speak, but my family, God forbid, my family in Argentina, when I speak Spanish to them, yeah, this is what they'd always tell me. Your Spanish is very Central American and Mexican like. Like that was a horrible thing, okay? And then I'm sorry, I would poke fun and I was like, ay, cállate, vos que no sabe, blah, blah, blah. I'm sorry, que mi español no es así, como usted quieran. Like, and I'm not trying to make fun, but come on, y'all, sorry. And anybody that speaks Castellano, right? Like, let's be respectful that Spanish is Spanish and how we all choose to speak it is
Yeah.
how we were raised. There's no
Honestly,
right, there's no wrong.
it's evolving, ever evolving,
It's kind of why I don't agree with the Spanish that is like taught in our school systems because like that is not fair to a Dominican or Caribbean Latino. That's not the Spanish they grew up with. And then you're telling them it's not proper.
It's not Castellano. It's not,
It's not proper.
Yeah, there's some residual resentment over colonialism still for sure, and I'm like, I
For
don't.
sure.
I'm like, I don't know what the answer is. I think in the future we'll have maybe a new universal language that is more inclusive and
Yeah.
or maybe we're just gonna have like computer chips and we're like blah, 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 blah. Make it 20% more sensitive.
Oh my God. What's AI? What's AI our language? I don't know.
That's gonna be the future. I'm gonna be like into the microphone. Mira que la gran puta. Translate, it's like, Carla is feeling pressure.
It's so wild when it comes to Spanish, right? Because like I even like when I was in El Salvador recently with my husband and his family, they're like, "Nunca has oído esa frase." No, definitely not. It sounds very vulgar. Please share. I was like,
There's so many. I don't even know which.
I'm like, ooh, I like how that sounds. It's probably vulgar, but please share. Like, can I use it on my worst enemies?
My best friend growing up was Peruvian, and I spent a summer with her
Oh
family.
my
They
God.
came in. I was with them a lot.
And we have our own, right? Like our
Yeah,
own
I was
fast
like,
dialect.
Aguilucha, and like I started picking up Peruvian Spanish. And what's this thing called again? Is it Bincha?
Oh, tu vincha. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Bincha. Yeah. My mochila. I had all these words that
Tu
were Peruvian.
mochila. I say mochila, my mom being Peruvian. And for the longest, people would look at me like, mochila. And I guess I thought some of these words were universal Spanish.
There's so many words that are not universal at all.
I know.
Yeah, I'm still learning.
So what if I tell you sorbete, what do you think I'm saying to you?
I know you're trying to say straw, but only in certain cultures.
So peruanos say sorbete, but that's
¿Quieres
actually some of y'all. Popote, pajilla, sorbete, all
Yeah,
the different ways we can say straw in
yeah.
Spanish.
So many ways. Like it's and then like just if you don't know Salvadorian Spanish is maybe unjustly or justly known of being pretty swear heavy. So yeah, that's if you hear me swearing a lot, that's why.
I love it. I mean, look at me. I'm like, I love it because I feel like Peruvians, they talk fast and there's words too. I'm still like, I don't know.
Peruvians
I
are so
love it. I
classy.
love the whole
Peruvians are
influx.
so classy, y'all. Yeah, I remember being with that family. We went to Canada's Wonderland. It's this amusement park. And there was this ride, and we were trying to figure strategy, like which ride do we go to next? And like, vamos a ir al Mindbuster. And no, hombre, no podemos ir ahí porque hay un vergo de gente por ahí. And they were like, I'm like, 12. And they're looking at me like, bueno, eso no se dice.
You mean
And
you don't say verga?
No? And they just like I had no idea.
No.
Idea.
We had the conversation about verga in the car in El Salvador because growing up, so many kids say verga, not knowing how bad of a word it is. But
and what does verga mean? What did you?
It was like just in like language, everyday language.
It means like penis.
Yeah, and said the wrong way, like vete a la verga. Me estás enseñando tu verga. Like it's like there's like a lot. I'm sorry.
What does it mean?
Are you sure? Like,
No. But what is the idiom? Like, is it like you're being annoying or like you're seeking attention? What is the?
I feel like when people use verga, it's really like, yeah, it could be go F yourself, go fuck yourself, right? It could be, why are you trying to be showy? Like, I feel like you can use, like, think about it, right? We use words sometimes in Spanish that don't mean exactly what they mean.
Totally.
That's because of how loosely, like, chinga tu madre. I've heard people say that in a loving tone and then in an aggressive tone. Like, no way, chinga tu madre. Like, it's not that serious. Get out of here with that. Like, I've had friends be like, no way, chinga tu madre, right? And that could be very like, let's go F your mom, right? Right? Like, excuse me, right? But then I've had friends say it more like, get out of here with that. Get out of here with that nonsense. Get out of here with that bullshit. They're not saying it in like the derogatory term that it means.
Got it. But what does it mean when it's like you're showing me your thingy? What's the entendido?
I just heard that.
You're showing off? Does it mean like you're showing off?
More just like, are you just showing off? Like, oh, you're being showy. More like, are you being showy? Like, at least the people who have like said those terms around me, I'd like to think
my culture. You're a bad Peruana influence on me.
Yet, can we remind the viewers here that my entire life is surrounded by salvis? So if I have bad language, I'm gonna blame them all.
We dragged you down, way down.
My husband's salvi. My best friend is salvi. My comadre here is salvi.
Yeah, we can smell it on you.
Look, y'all. I can't escape.
You can't.
I am multicultural when it comes to my Latinidad.
Yeah.
No, I did make a joke when I came back. I'm like, yep, it's official. I'm 50% Salvi now. It's official.
Welcome, comadre.
I'm happy to be here. Can I be an honorary cipota?
Yes.
I love it.
Have some pupusas and all the things.
Oh my God. These words, dude. It's like, oh my God, over there. My favorite was nombre. It's like, oh, I love this. I love how this sounds. Like, everything is like,
There's a lot. You're right. There's a lot of sounds.
I think I love it because I've always been expressive. Like, that's just me. Because, like, my Peruvian mom was very expressive. Like, we use the word carajo a lot in my home. Like,
I heard
Carajo.
carajo. I heard a lot of carajo.
My dad would call me and my sister carajitos, like apparently a term of endearment, but y'all translate it in English, that's little shits. So we were carajitos, and carajo was heavily used in our house. And so yeah, it's like crazy because like you hear all these terms, you become this older woman, and I just embrace it all. Like I'm like I embrace it all. I respect, being very expressive cultures that we are just in general. Yeah, there's a lot of I noticed over there when they're talking, and I was like, it really reminded me, but in a very beautiful way, of like my mom and my upbringing. It's funny how all those correlations. Like I did feel at home because of the mannerisms, because of the expressiveness, because of the storytelling. Like I was just like, this is beautiful. I don't care if you're using words like beach eye and like all these other things.
Yeah,
Right. It
everyone is
was
very
just,
warm.
it was very warm and welcoming. And yeah, that trip was very reminded me. I felt like my mom was there. Like there was just moments where his tias were just so like la ternura, like I could feel it. Like it was beautiful.
That's lovely. I It also makes me think of something I wanted to talk about, which is like what it means to be a señora. You know, like so technically señora means married woman, right? But it also means like woman of a certain age, woman. Usually these women like help enforce the societal rules, so you're like worried about being judged, and like it has like a connotation, right? If señoras
Yeah.
walk into the room, you stop acting a fool, right? Like
It's
you're
a
señora.
form of respect too, because like
And it's a
sometimes
form of,
you meet somebody, and I always feel like old if somebody says, "Pero like buenos dias, señora," and I'm like, "Oh, I am a señora." Like, but like I realize it's also like de respeto, like
Mhm. Yeah.
that they're calling me señora.
And I also feel like what's wrong with that? You know,
Oh,
I
nothing.
want to like glamorize aging. Want like, oh, like I'm not a señora, I'm just a baby. It's like,
Yeah,
you know,
I'm a chica.
yeah. And I feel like what I think about this era of my life, and it's not necessarily being married or old or whatever. It's I feel permission to let go of like the male gaze, competitiveness, like so many things, and I'm like coming into my own.
You're in
I'm
your señora
prioritizing
era.
myself. It's my senora era, right? And I'm like, y'all are underrating this because it's great. It's fucking great over here.
Curled up on the couch with your cobija, a comfy
Yeah.
almohada. Yeah, I'm here
No,
for it.
knock it till you try it.
I'm If it means that I go shopping for plants, like
You
a
go to
new mug,
Target.
like
Yeah, it's really, really nice.
the
And
things that
it might
excite
not
us at this
be,
age, right? It is
yeah.
nice.
It doesn't look glamorous, but it is. Like it's
Girl,
great. There's so much richness and wisdom over here. Like don't be scared. It's okay.
that. I love it. I feel like we should close out then
Yeah.
with our
Our new
senora,
segment.
our senora advice of the week, because we're senoras. We
Yep,
got
you
a
got
lot of wisdom, got a
yes.
lot of advice that we love passing down. So I'm gonna let you go first.
Okay, I'm up first. Honestly, I think about staying flexible in your mindset and your thinking. Like I just remember being a young person and seeing like older judgmental women miserable. And I'm like, if I can do one thing in this life is to reach that age and not be miserable.
And not be
Like
judgmental towards
not be
the younger
judgmental.
generation. Yeah.
Yeah, like if we can be more flexible in our thinking and adaptable, because look how much the world has changed in the last 20 years. Guess what? It's only going to change faster. So if we can embrace new ways of thinking and being flexible, adaptable, um, I think that's the goal. I think that's the only thing that's going to sustain us.
I love that.
Thank you. Your turn.
I am going to use a quote that I used today. When somebody asked on a post what was the best advice your parents or your mother gave you, and for me is todo a su tiempo, which translate everything at its due time. I'm very much living that right now, right? In all facets of my life. So I feel like I can share that the same way that there's a time and place for everything. Todo a su tiempo means go at the pace that you're meant to be going. Everything will happen when it's meant to happen.
Yeah.
I am really trying to work on that, live in that moment, accept that what is for me, that this might not be the time for that, but who's to say 6 months from now, it isn't the time for that. You know, maybe that's going to be or maybe it's never going to be the right time. And I have to also accept that. So todo su tiempo, everything at its own time, everything at its own pace. Let's not rush the process, whether you are a creative, a small business owner, just an individual in this world. With anything that you do it with love, purpose, and intention. It'll be when it's meant to be. And that's my little senora wisdom for the week.
Amen. I give you some cheering.
I love that.
Oh my gosh. Thank you everyone for joining us. If you're watching us, leave a comment, leave a like, leave a 5-star review if you'd like. And if you were looking for more specific advice from the senoras, please send
Yeah.
us a voice memo and we'll answer them.
Yeah, we're always looking. I mean, Carla and I have tons of things to talk about. But if there's anything that you would like us to touch on, definitely share. We are open for it. And as always, we come to you with mucho, mucho amor and beautiful energía.
Mwah. Ciao.